I've got to share this incredible true story with you. It starts with a little boy, a pretty normal accident, but it leads to a discovery that, honestly, would change his family's life forever. And if you're a parent, this is one of those stories you're definitely going to want to hear.
I know, right? It sounds completely backwards. How could something so scary, something that causes pain, actually turn out to be a lifeline? Well, just stick with me here, because this whole story is going to flip what you think you know about accidents completely on its head.
So picture this. It all starts on a totally average day. You've got a little boy just full of that kid energy, playing outside. It's a scene any of us would recognize. But then, in a blink, that completely ordinary day gets shattered by just one unlucky moment. He slipped and he fell hard, landing right on his shoulder. You know, the kind of fall that makes a parent's heart just leap into their throat. The shock, the pain, it was immediate. He couldn't move his arm, the tears were flowing, and his parents, seeing how much he was hurting, knew they had to move fast. So they rush him to the hospital and the doctors get an x-ray. And sure enough, the result comes back pretty clear. A fractured clavicle, the collarbone. And as a parent, you feel that really weird mix of being so worried, but also a little bit relieved. I mean, it's painful for sure, but it's also a super common injury for kids. It seemed pretty straightforward. Or so they thought.
But as the doctors were just taking a final look at that x-ray, just double-checking everything, they realized that this routine diagnosis was about to become anything but. That broken bone? Yeah, it wasn't the only thing the x-ray had picked up. Something else caught their eye. Barrett was. This small, perfectly round shadow, just hanging out below his throat. That did not belong there. And it had absolutely nothing to do with the fracture. In that instant, the entire focus of the room just shifted, from the obvious injury to this brand new, really unsettling mystery.
After a closer look, the doctors knew exactly what it was. A coin! It was lodged in his upper digestive tract. It was a complete and total shock. They immediately turned to the parents and asked them point blank, "Did your son swallow a coin?"
Can you just imagine their confusion, the fear in that moment? Their answer was an instant no. They couldn't remember anything like that ever happening. How could this be possible? Their child had a coin stuck inside him, and they had absolutely no clue.
And then it all started to click. A memory popped up just 1 week earlier. The little boy had been vomiting over and over again. At the time, they'd seen a doctor who said it was probably just a simple stomach bug. But now, that symptom didn't seem so simple anymore. It was the one crucial clue that everyone had missed.
Okay, so now that the mystery was solved, a whole new feeling of urgency just took over the room. Suddenly, that fractured collarbone was the least of their worries. This coin was like a ticking time bomb, and the medical team knew they had to act, and act fast.
He was immediately whisked away for emergency surgery. It was a really delicate procedure, but the surgeons were amazing. They carefully went in and managed to get that coin out. For his parents, watching and waiting, the relief must have been just overwhelming. The immediate danger was finally over.
But here's the part that just sends a shiver down your spine. When they finally got the coin out, it wasn't shiny. It was completely covered in rust. This was not something that had happened yesterday. No, this had been in there for a while.
How long?
Nearly 7 days, a whole week. That coin had been lodged inside his little body, just slowly corroding. That vomiting from the week before, that was his body's desperate attempt to get it out. If he hadn't had that fall, who knows how much longer would have stayed hidden in there.
And this is really the incredible irony at the very heart of this story. Think about it. The obvious injury, the one that caused all that initial fear and panic, the broken collarbone, was actually pretty minor. It would have healed up just fine on its own. But the hidden danger, that silent threat that nobody even knew was there, that was life-threatening and needed emergency surgery.
So this brings us to what we can all really take away from this wild story. It's so much more than just a medical case. It's a huge lesson about hidden dangers and how sometimes our worst moments can actually be a blessing in disguise.
The lessons here are just so powerful for all of us, especially parents. It's a huge reminder that an obvious symptom, like a stomach bug, might be hiding a totally different, more serious cause. And it shows us that the signs of a swallowed object aren't always what you think. It can be anything from drooling, refusing food, or pain in their chest. So what can we do? It's really all about being vigilant. keeping those small things like coins and batteries out of reach, and just keeping a close eye on our kids. This crisis really did reveal a much deeper, much more dangerous truth.
And that leaves us with this one powerful thought. That fall definitely hurt him. Of course it did. But it's also the very thing that led to the discovery that saved him from something so much worse. It's just a reminder that sometimes life throws something painful at you for a reason you just can't see yet. It makes you wonder, right? What's a moment in your own life that felt awful at the time but actually ended up saving you?